The Philippines is competing at the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo. Originally scheduled to take place from the 24th of July to the 9th of August 2020. The Games have been postponed to the 23rd of July to the 8th of August 2021. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the nation's official debut in 1924, Filipino athletes have appeared in every edition of the Summer Olympic Games, but did not attend the 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow because of the nation's partial support for the US-led boycott. The Philippine Olympic Committee fielded a team of 19 athletes, 9 men and 10 women, to compete in 11 different sports at the Games. Among the sports represented by the nation's athletes, the Philippines marked its Olympic debut in skateboarding, as well as its return to gymnastics and rowing. The first ever gold medal for the Philippines was won by weightlifter Heidelin Diaz, ending a 97-year bid of the country to win an Olympic gold medal since it started competing in the Games in 1924. Philippine Football Federation President Mariano Araneta was appointed in August 2019 as chef de mission of the Filipino delegation to the Games by Philippine Olympic Committee President Abraham Tolentino. Araneta succeeded Joey Romashanta, who was appointed as chef de mission for the same edition of the Olympics by Tolentino's predecessor, Ricky Vargas. The preparation of the delegation was largely affected by travel restrictions imposed as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic. In relation, Filipino businessman Enrique Razon has pledged to procure COVID-19 vaccines for the Philippine delegation from Moderna. Some athletes who had training outside the Philippines were vaccinated in their host countries. The Philippine Sports Commission, the Philippine government's sports agency, provided 200 million pesos for the country's participation in the Olympics. Team Philippines official kit will be provided by ASEX Philippines. As announced on July 7, ASEX is the same outfitter which provided the Philippines delegation's kit at the 2019 Southeast Asian Games. The Philippines was targeting to qualify around 38 athletes for the Olympics, but only 19 athletes ultimately qualified. The Philippines made failed attempts to qualify athletes in archery, basketball, cycling, fencing, karate, surfing, and windsurfing. The country also intended to qualify athletes in canoeing, but they had to withdraw their athletes from the Asian qualifiers due to a positive COVID-19 result. For the opening ceremony, it was announced on the 7th of July 2021 that pole vaulter Age Obina and judoka Kiyomi Watanabe would be the flag bearers of the Philippines in the opening ceremony. However, Obina was dropped as one of the flag bearers after a new protocol was introduced which required flag bearers to be in Tokyo 48 hours prior to the opening ceremony. Obina was set to arrive on the 23rd of July, the date when the opening ceremony was scheduled to be held. Boxer Yumia Marcial was announced to be Obina's replacement. In the Parade of Nations, the Philippine delegation was represented by 7 officials and 2 athletes. The officials wore ready-to-wear barong from the Filipino clothing company Cultura, topped off by a shawl made by Filipino fashion designer Rejo Laurel, while the 2 athletes who served as flag bearers wore the tracksuits supplied by ASEX. The following is the list of number of competitors in the Games. Filipino athletes further achieved the entry standards, either by qualifying time or by world ranking. In the following track and field events, the Philippines entered 4 boxers secured places in their respective weight divisions, with the former advancing to the semi-finals and the latter scoring a box of triumph. At the 2020 Asia and Oceania qualification tournament in Amman, Jordan, reigning world champion Nesty Peticio and Carlo Palem completed the nation's boxing lineup by topping the list of eligible boxers from Asia and Oceania in their respective weight divisions of the IOC's Boxing Task Force rankings. Preparation of the boxing delegation was affected by the quarantine measures in the Philippines, imposed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, with some boxers reportedly gaining extra 10 kilograms of weight due to relative idleness of boxers stranded in their home provinces. Yumia Marcial is preparing for the Olympics in the United States, while the 3 other qualified boxers were sent to a training camp in Thailand. The boxing team trained with Australian consultant coach Don Abnett. The draw, which determined the Filipino boxer's opponent, was held on the 22nd of July 2021. Nesty Peticio and Irish Magno won their first bout against their African opponents in the round of 32. The Philippines entered 3 golfers, and Bianca Pagdanganan qualified directly among the top 60 eligible players for their respective events based on the IGF World Rankings. The Philippines entered 1 artistic gymnast into the Olympic competition for the first time since 1968, which featured Ernesto Barang and Norman Henson. Ninert.